Welcome to User Experience Design, Making a Research Plan. The objective for this video is that the student should be able to name and describe specific research methods one could use in a research plan. There are 5 primary research techniques we'll be discussing: surveys, contextual inquiry, focus groups, usability studies, and analytics. I would like you to now pause the video and write down everything that you know about these 5 research techniques. Take about 5 minutes, write them down, and then start the video again. Surveys are sets of questions that allow you to get information from a large number of people in a structured and useful way. They can ask people about themselves, their interests and preferences. The results of surveys can be evaluated with statistical tools. That is, with a large enough number of people that you ask in the survey these questions, you can begin to extrapolate the findings of your survey to a broader population with mathematical certainty. You can know just how likely you are to be making a mistake if you base any of your design decisions on data collected from a survey with a large enough sample size. Surveys are useful to help you understand how your user base might be segmented. They give you a chance to model your audience statistically and make generalizations about how your user base compares to the population as a whole. Surveys also allow you to gather details about your user base that would help inform your decisions about who to recruit for qualitative research as well. As a rule of thumb, you want to aim for around 350 participants. You might need less if you have a smaller population you want to represent, but having 350 will generally give you enough data to extrapolate your findings to a larger audience. And you should generally plan for a survey project to take about 4 to 6 weeks to account for question writing, survey setup, fielding the survey, and analysis. Contextual inquiry is a process of observing and studying a few individuals in depth to more fully understand the work practice or life practice of the group of people the individuals represent. It is a great, though somewhat labor-intensive way to uncover the problems behind the problems. As Mike Kuniavsky wrote in Observing the User Experience, the obvious problem isn't always the real problem. The person who wants a new hammer and smaller nails, maybe she really just needs a cheap birdhouse, so she's making one. Once she's done, maybe she'll never need the hammer and nails again. Contextual inquiry helps you understand people and their behavior regarding your problem space. Observing people in their natural environment helps the researcher study the scenarios their product is meant to assist with to learn more about the user's mental model associated with the problem at hand. A contextual inquiry study can take around 4 weeks to plan and complete. Focus groups get a bad rap. Depending on who you talk to, they can be 100% worthless 100% of the time, or they can be an exceptionally valuable way to get rich information in a relatively quick time frame. It's true that focus group interviews have to be carefully moderated to avoid the groupthink that is often a hallmark of poorly conducted focus groups. Using focus groups in combination with other research will provide a richer understanding of your user base and their desires, values, motivations, and experience. If you only have time or budget to conduct a single research project, focus groups should probably not be your first choice. Focus groups are generally structured interviews of around 8 to 10 people at the same time and are often conducted in multiple sessions, so you have 2 to 3 separate group interviews with a new set of participants in each interview. You can use focus groups to explore the nature of human experience in a specific domain, prioritize features intended for use by the represented audience. You can analyze competitors' products by interviewing their users, and you can also investigate trends to understand the underlying behaviors more closely. Focus groups are not a very good way to do usability studies, to find problems with applications. It's not a good place to find out whether people would actually use features, because all of these things can be spoken about by people in their minds thinking, yeah, I would do that, or yes, I think that's great. So these focus groups have to be conducted carefully with the right types of questions. Otherwise, you risk getting bunk data that misinforms you on your projects. Focus groups often need more thorough planning and recruiting and can sometimes be more time consuming than other research techniques. You should plan on at least 3 weeks to plan, execute, and analyze a focus group. Usability testing is generally a fast way to avoid launching a product that has show-stopping usability problems. You conduct usability studies by interviewing individual users while watching them use your product, ideally in performing specified tasks while they're using your product. Usability tests can be performed at any stage in the product design cycle, at any stage of fidelity in the design. They don't need to be reserved for the end of a cycle after development has been completed. You also don't need to perform very many to be useful. Around 5 interviews is generally sufficient to get the majority of usability problems. A usability study can generally be planned, conducted, and analyzed within 2 to 3 weeks. Site or app analytics can be a great resource of understanding actual user behavior as well. Most companies now use analytics platforms like Google Analytics or Adobe's Marketing Cloud to track their user activity. By gaining access to the analytics product, UX researchers can track things like the number of visitors to a specific page, number of clicks or taps on a specific interaction element, time they spend on a page, or even progress through a purchase funnel. These data can be very informative of trends, but are not explanatory. Analytics tracking can be coupled with other research methods to make testable hypotheses for additional research. Exploratory analysis can take much longer than discovering the results of a very targeted query within analytics. We have covered 5 research techniques that UX researchers often use when making a research plan: surveys, contextual inquiry, focus groups, usability studies, and analytics.